Okay guys, so I'm out here today and I figured it was time to give you guys some more 2020 Daiwa TATULA action. And can you believe this reel has been out a year now? And there's really not that much coverage about this particular TATULA SV, not nearly as much as the old model. And that's kind of strange because I think this reel is better than the old model. But anyway, in today's video, we're going to see how well this TATULA SV can skip. And I'm doing that because the old model was known to be a great skipper. At least that's what the fanboy said about it, that it was very forgiving and it was the best skipping reel ever, etc., etc. So we're going to see if the new model can live up to that hype. Alright, so let's go over the rod and the line and the lure. And it's basically the same combination that I used with the SLX DC. We have a 6'8" medium Shimano Claris that is moderate fast, 12-pound fluoro. We're throwing the G-Crack Spyron JDM lure. And I'm leaving the spool tension just like Daiwa shipped it from the factory. And there is a surprising amount of side-to-side play on this reel. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but I'm gonna say like 0.5 millimeter is very, very noticeable. You can probably hear it, hopefully. But yeah, that's what we're gonna go with. And we're gonna start off with the brakes all the way to maximum because I do not want to explode this spool and then have to end the video early. Now luckily for the TATULA, I'm somewhat practiced on skipping now, so it should be a good test. Now, hopefully this sun's glare is not gonna cover up these skips, but let's see what happens. All right, that was a decent skip. Had a slight backlash at the end that I could pick out with just lifting my rod tip up. That was on 20. Let's try again. So that was a weak skip. Let's put some more effort into it. All right, so far so good. No explosions on the spool. All right, let's go out that way. Oh, that was my fault, but the reel still was very forgiving. Still very forgiving of an amateur skipper like me. There we go. Okay, that one was kind of bad, but the backlash was not catastrophic. I'm gonna get higher up on the bank here like I was with the SLX. All right, let's keep on going. All right, that was a bad skip. Spool still controlled. So that's exactly what you want in a skipping reel, a reel that will control that backlash or overrun, so it doesn't spoil the whole spool. Let's go down 2 clicks on the brakes to 18. Oh yeah, look at that. Perfect spool control. Yep, still perfect spool control. It seems to be doing better on 18 than 20. That's kind of weird. All right, so far the TATULA SV is not hype when it comes to skipping. Now with the SLX DC, you just had that number 4 setting and that was it. No adjustments on that. And honestly, there was no way I was even gonna attempt to skip in the other line modes. But with this TATULA SV, I can keep going down on the brakes to see if we can find the limit. Now that was a bad skip, but the spool still controlled, still behaved, no blow up. Oh yeah, look at that. Now I'm hoping this sun does not hide these skips from you guys, because it's kind of blinding me reflecting off the water. I'm trying to skip into some dark water, but let's go down to number, it says it's 14. Yeah, it says 14 on the brakes. So I must not have been on 20. Anyway, we're on 14 on the brakes. Look at that, didn't even have to stop the spool with my thumb. All right. That was a straight amateur move. That was a total roll cast instead of a skip. That's why practice is very important when it comes to getting your skipping down. Okay, so the lure hit the water right there. It skipped about 15 feet and then landed. The spool wanted to blow up, I could tell for a second, but then it just cleared itself out at the end there. So that's pretty awesome. All right, so even at 14, we're getting ridiculous spool control. Look at that, no hint of overrun or backlash. All right, we're gonna go down to 12. Let's see how low we can go on this TATULA SV. Now, I have to take my glasses off to actually see if I'm on number 12, because it's hard to see these numbers on this silver dial. Okay, yeah, we're on 12. And as I said in a previous video, I wish they would have color coded this dial like they did with the old model. Made it a lot easier to read these numbers. All right. Wow, even on 12, these bad skips that should technically blow up a reel, the TATULA handled it with no problem. Oh, there's the first blow up, but once again, that was my fault. Okay, so we did have a blow up. It wasn't that bad. And let's do a couple of more on 12. So yeah, that was a decent skip. So of course, spool, it's very controlled. All right, it's had a slight overrun at the end, or a blow up. And I just pulled my rod tip back and it cleared up. All right, so we're gonna go down one click to 11, because we might be nearing the limits of braking. All right, had a minor overrun, and that was of course caused by my amateur skip stroke there. All right, had an overrun there, but that was a bad skip on my part, not the reel's fault. All right, make sure this, okay, it might have been the lure's fault because the hook came out. Okay, so that could have been totally the lure there, because the hook was just dangling out there on those last two skips probably. All right, there we go. So we had a bad skip that turned into a decent skip, and the TATULA SV handled it with no problem. All right, so let's dare to go down to the number 10 setting, which is right in the middle of the brake range. And let me adjust this bait again. All right. So number 10. Okay, that was a bad skip on my part. Okay, decent skip. On number 10, the spool still super controlled. So far, I'm really impressed with this SV. Okay, had a little bit of a backlash at the end, but because that was a bad skip, but nothing that I couldn't pull out just by pulling my rod tip back. Okay, I think we might be on the limit here on setting number 10, because it's not as forgiving of these amateur skips as the other brake settings. Yeah, I think we're on the limit. I might go down to 9 just to see. Now, of course, someone who is a lot more experienced at skipping and has their skip stroke down will be able to just skip this across the water, no problem. And yeah, the hook keeps wanting to come out of this lure. Okay, there we go. Could have been that hook, because that was a below average skip. There we go. But the spool was unflapped. It was unfazed. And the hooks come out again. I might have to switch baits, hold on. Okay, different bait tied on, same lure, just a different one, because the other one was wore out. And once again, we're on brake setting number 10, and I actually feel like I could go lower and still be able to skip without having any kind of spool issues. So let's go down to 9. Yep, that's 9. Yep, no problems at all. Wow. With the SLXDC, there is no way I was ever gonna try to skip in the monofilament braid mode. Okay, we're running into some backlash at the end of the skip. Let's do a couple more, see if that's consistent. Oh, I have no idea what happened there. I looked at the spool, it looked like the line had just stopped and then started up again. But nothing catastrophic. Just gonna take a couple seconds to pick it out. And the hook popped out. Okay, let's go down to number 8. We can actually skip on 8. That would be pretty incredible. Oh, yeah, I had a pretty bad backlash there, so we may just be on the limit of this braking system for skipping, at least for this lure and my skill level. Okay, a few more skips on 8. Okay, yeah, I think 8 is too low. Either 9 or 10 is going to be the lowest that I can go personally on this new 2020 TATULA SV. All right, let's go back up to number 9. Okay, had a little backlash there at the end. So on the edge here, I guess it just depends on how good the lure hits the water as to whether you're going to get a small backlash at the end or not. So that was a really, really nice skip for me. And I stopped the spool with my thumb because I saw the spool was still spinning and would have caused a backlash. But Man, I am very impressed. A couple more skips, and I'm going to show you why this is so impressive. Oh, bad skip means backlash when you're on the edge of the brakes here, when you're on the limit. Oh, yeah. This is a bad blow up. Completely my fault. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna go to 10. 10 may be the best setting for, I guess, distance skipping and backlash control if you get it wrong. We'll do a few casts on 10. Now I am instinctively stopping the spool with my thumb. I'm going to try to not do that. Okay, bad skip, but spool still fine. Oh, had a small backlash that's easily picked out. Oh, very impressive. Bad skip, but spool still controlled. Okay, so I think 10 is definitely the limit. You will get some overrun if you don't stop the spool with your thumb, but you can easily just pull back on your rod tip and clear that out. So if you want to go completely thumb free, you're probably looking at, you know, the number 12 setting. But let me tell you why this is so impressive with the SV versus the SLX DC. And that's because you can, you know, do a skip like so, and then let's say you see some blow up, you know, 30-40 yards out, you can just turn around and fire off a cast and get pretty decent distance on this number 10 setting. So once again, you can just, you know, fire off a decently long cast, and then the very next cast, just skip. And if you're good at skipping, the spool wouldn't have blown up. So that's what's impressive about this SV brake system. Now, of course, as I stated before, it is over braked, and that makes it very, very forgiving for certain situations like this. So you skip right there, and then you see some action, and you can just fire off a decently long cast. That's probably about 35 yards. So yeah, TATULA SV 2020. I don't know how it compares with the 2017 model that everyone keeps on saying such a great skipper, but I'm sure it's very, very similar, if not better, having, you know, a lighter spool. But yeah, the more I use this 2020 SV, the more I like it. And if you were on the fence about getting one of these, go ahead and get it. I mean, it's an awesome little reel. To be honest, if I got this and then I fished it back to back with my STEEZ, well, I have done that, and I got buyer's remorse immediately from buying that STEEZ, because the STEEZ is not twice the reel that this is. And I say that because the STEEZ is more than twice the cost. there we go, guys, the 2020 TATULA SV skip test. And I'm doing this because I do have that LEWS skipping reel coming in. Well, actually I have it, but I'm returning it and getting another one because there was a paint chip on it. But as soon as I get that reel, we may just have a three-way skip battle. But as far as the TATULA SV versus, let's say, the SLX DC, I prefer this TATULA for skipping because, first of all, you can definitely go lower on the brakes, which I showed you guys the benefit. But I think it's just easier for the whole consistency with the rod control on your cast, because this reel is so light compared to the the SLX DC. That reel is like over an ounce heavier than this TATULA. All right, guys, there we go. Thanks for watching the video.